screaming about tornadoes.
What's that supposed to mean? Screaming about tornadoes, dude.
They're crazy, man.
They are? Tell
Yeah.
me tell me a little bit about them then, man, from a professional standpoint.
Oh gosh. I mean, there's a lot that's not understood about tornadoes. I mean, it's still like there's still like a really big frontier as far as like tornado research goes. But basically you need lots of rotation. So if you can get that rotation, if you get low cloud heights, um, with a strong what we call like an updraft. So basically there's a lot of turbulence in the atmosphere during like severe weather events. So if you get like strong updraft coupled with those low cloud heights, that rotation, then you've got a real good chance of a tornado on your hands.
So what causes the rotation? You said it was an updraft?
Yeah, well, it's wind shear. So basically, the winds at the surface they change direction with height. So you could have winds, southerly winds at the surface, and then as you move up in the atmosphere, it changes, westerly, and so you get this like twisting motion as you go up, if you can imagine. And so it's actually very violent. I mean, you can have updrafts, that 70 meters per second or feet per second. So it's very very violent.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask what makes weather in the South a bit more predictable? Oh, we started by the way. Hello, Daniel.
Okay,
How you
hey,
doing? How you
doing
doing, man?
great, doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Dude, no problem, man. This is the precursor to the disaster that's called the group podcast.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's gonna be insane. I don't even know where we're gonna begin with
I
that.
mean, Austin and I were talking about it, and TJ, I'm actually having TJ on tomorrow for like a solo episode, and
Okay.
he's saying he's really worried about some of the shit he's gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah, has to do with his girlfriend or whatever.
Uh
Yeah,
oh.
I know, right? It's always that, dude.
Always, every time.
Dude, so what have you been up to? Well, actually, I don't know if you want to disclose where you work because we might say some things that might get you in trouble, depending on your company.
No, I'll make sure not to say things that may incriminate me. But uh, yeah, everything's been going great. I've been busy. That adult life, man. It's like it's. I wish I could be a kid again, man. It's not what it's all like cut out to be. But
I mean, you could still be a kid,
yeah,
technically.
yeah. But man, I feel like so young at heart, and I'm doing all these adult things. I work for the National Weather Service in Birmingham, so
Okay.
it's a federal position, it's like a government position, but I'm a meteorologist. Um,
Hmm.
so it's a lot of weight on my shoulders, man. You got a lot of expectations to meet.
So, so go ahead and just explain what you do in a nutshell, because there's a difference between, I guess, what you do as a meteorologist versus what people see on the TV.
Oh yeah. I mean, a lot of people have no idea what we do with the
Well,
National Weather Service. They
yeah, I
only
figured.
they only know about the broadcast side of things, but we're more of like I don't want to say behind the scenes, but we kind of are in a way. We're trying to grow our outreach and, become more noticeable to the common person, but basically I'm really an entry level guy, so I'm basically just starting out. I do a lot of the entry level type meteorology things. I don't write like the main forecasts. The forecast that I would write would be like an aviation forecast. It's what's called a TAF, a
Okay.
terminal aerodrome forecast. So that's the forecast that the pilots use. Airports will use those, things like that. You give like cloud heights and present weather at the airports and things that they need to know.
You see, that's interesting. I would have never known. That's what. I would have never known the National Weather Service actually does that. I thought I sound so stupid right now, but I thought
Like the actual airport or
or
the
the
airlines.
or the airlines.
I mean,
Yeah, I wasn't
airlines
thinking that a
do
second.
they do have their own, like, meteorology groups that do their own specific things, but ours is more like a broad scope. Theirs is probably more specific to their operations. Ours is just like, this airport here, what is the conditions gonna be for a 24-hour period? And so if there's, like, pilots that don't not just commercial pilots, but just like a pilot that flies like a normal Cessna or something, they can look at our TAFs and know what the weather's gonna be for a 24-hour period at this airport, and if they're flying to another airport, they can look at the TAF for that airport and know the conditions.
So, you allowed to talk to me about what exactly do you do? Is it called? You said it was called a Taft, right? No,
Yeah, yeah, that's one
Taft.
of the things I do, TAF, Terminal Aerodrome Forecast. We have tons of acronyms in the
Okay.
weather service.
So well, I don't know if there's much to talk about Taft. So what else? What else do you do?
So I do routine products that we send out like every single day, like text products. So I do like climate data. So we've got several sites spread around central Alabama that are taking, basic readings like temperature readings, wind, precipitation. And so um, it basically conglomerates all these data points into like a text product of like the max temperature, the min temperature, and the amount of precipitation. And basically, we just send these out every day. It's just like keeping history in a way. So a lot of
Okay.
people actually use that. You'd be surprised how many people actually use that information.
Like who? If you're allowed to talk about it.
Like, just the normal like, farmers, maybe they wanna
Mhm.
know, what was the high yesterday, how much rainfall did they receive, things like that. And so it's very, like, specific areas, like, it'll be cities, so we can't go give them, like, their point exact precipitation amount, but
Right.
they can interpolate it based on their closest city and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah, so,
Didn't
I mean,
know.
that's one of the basic ones, and then I do rainfall plots, which is, like, using GIS.
So what's GIS?
It's geographic information science or system, something like that. Basically, you're just using computers to make, like, maps. So it's like modern day cartography in a way.
Mhm.
That's a good way to think about it, but it's, like, really an up and coming new field that's just booming. So, like, um, county officials use GIS, earth sciences uses GIS, probably military, I would imagine, uses geographic information systems.
Probably. Yeah.
Um, and you can just pull in all kinds of data, and make all kinds of different maps, basically anything you can think of. You could do like floodplains. You can map like in one of my classes back in college, one of the things we did was we mapped like the best. I went to school in Mobile, so they were really interested in Mardi Gras. And we actually mapped like the best route for Mardi Gras parades based on like certain factors that you had to meet. Like you had to pass like this amount of buildings and you had to stay away from, like, the busiest highways and things like that, so and you can actually make, like, maps that are easily read to spread that information, basically.
Must be interesting because I mean, weather, as far as I know, as far as what I'm aware, it's unpredictable. There's so many factors that go into it, especially
Yeah.
here in the South, that people don't really understand. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't understand it either. But
Great having me on, I mean, I can help, inform, I guess.
so so do you know why let's talk about winter weather in the South. Why I've noticed it's kind of all over the place, especially when it comes to forecasting snow.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, there's gotta be so many ingredients that come together just right, and if, like, any one is off, then it can completely change the entire outcome. So, I'll go ahead and talk about that past event because that one was it didn't pan out the way we had forecasted it, if you know which one I'm talking about. It was this past winter when basically every weather model we were looking at was showing some kind of accumulation, like 1 to 2 inches. So if we were to go against what every single weather model was saying, I mean, that would just be crazy just to go against that. But, the parameters that we were looking at did show that there would be some accumulation in that event. I can't remember if that was it may have been January.
Yeah, I think it was in
Yeah.
January.
But, yeah, basically just what happened was the soil temperatures were too warm, and that window of actual snow was so short that it wasn't able to overcome the soil temperatures to allow accumulation, so that's basically what happened. It didn't pan out the way we forecasted it.
Well, it's probably important to be, especially down in the South, better safe than sorry. Because as you probably are aware, we all are aware, the state is not equipped to deal with it
Yeah.
in general. So it's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we've begun learning our lessons from the past when we haven't been as equipped. So I think actually a lot of counties are making steps to, get more sand trucks, prepare for these type of events, and just, be prepared ahead of time if it really does happen.
So is your so this is a weird segue. So like the kind of work you do, how much of it is actual field work? I don't know if you do any of that, or how much of it is just, uh God, I guess work you read off graphs, basically inside office work.
Yeah, a lot of it is office work, man. Like, I'll be honest with you, those desk jobs, they're pretty rough because I'm more of like a hands-on type of person. I like to be more active.
Right.
I like to be outdoors, but it is a desk job primarily. There are opportunities where you can go outside. Like we have this one position, it's called OPL. It's the Observations Program Leader. He's actually in charge of several programs around the state that, um, basically, like, we divide, weather instruments out to, like, the public. So your own family here, you could have a temperature sensor, rainfall sensor in your backyard, and basically every morning you would go out, take the readings, and you would send it into our database, and it's called the co-op program. I don't even know what that one stands for. But yeah, that's what the program's called, and so that observation program leader, he actually does go out in the field pretty much every day or routinely, and he'll go to all these different sites and do maintenance on those sites and things like that and fix whatever kind of problems they have. So that is one opportunity. And really the other opportunity, unfortunately, would be like doing storm surveys. If you're having to go out and storm and survey the damage,
Mm.
then you definitely have to go out in the field for that. But yeah, everything else is done at our workstations and I mean we have pretty good system with our workstations to where we can pull up tons of information and get the job done.
So what makes you so when do you think any kind of big technological development, let's say, I always talk about this all the time, but automation, for example, do you
Mhm.
think that's going to have do you do you think that's going to break into your field and sort of change the way how employment is?
Like as far as the AI technology.
I mean, not only as far as AI technology, just machines that do the job better than people. Because
Right.
in radiology, a lot of med students are kind of running from that field because the
Mhm.
computer scannings, they could see 1,000 shades more of gray than the human eye can.
Right.
So why hire a person at that point, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, when you can get a more accurate reading off a screen or reading? I don't know exactly what it is, but
I mean, that's probably a fear at some point in the future. I don't know if that's really in my lifetime. I mean, they've been saying that in my field for the past 30, 40 years. I know people that have been in the weather service for a long time, and they had those same fears, back in the day when they were introducing new technology. They thought it was going to take their jobs. And really what ended up happening is they had more responsibilities. So with all these new advancements, you have more responsibilities. You got to quality control all the data. You got to make sure everything's working right. I don't know if you'll really ever be able to take the human aspect out of
I
things.
think what it's doing is making so basically it's just making you more specialized in a sense. I don't know if that's a correct term, but
Yeah.
um I don't know where I was going with that,
I mean,
but
yeah, I mean, things are better than they ever have been. We're making like leaps and bounds in the technology and our capabilities. So, and heck, I mean, when quantum computing comes into the weather service, that's going to change the game. I mean, it's
oh,
still a little ways off. They're really in the beginning of quantum computing, but the way our weather models are now, if you start to factor in like quantum computing into our weather models, it's going to be able to capture so much more. And I mean, it's just going to take us to the next level, really.
so tell me what exactly is quantum computing,
Um,
if you're going to explain it to me.
I don't know the specifics behind that. That's not my specialty, but it's able to use dynamics better. Like so, the actual computing itself, it's able to look at dynamics. Um, Vertical and horizontal dynamics, so you can build a better picture. So if you can imagine, if you're trying to model a tornado event and you can only look at one level, you can only look at the horizontal level, then you're not going to get a good resolution. You're not going to get a good picture of how this event's actually going to unfold. If you can bring in the horizontal and the vertical levels, you get more of like a 3D, 4D picture of what's going to happen in the long run. And so you get, a better idea. It's able to interpolate better. So hopefully with quantum computing, that's going to be possible. That's the idea, is that it's able to look in more detail at certain things like that.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's very power intensive though. It uses a lot of power and things, and it's very like specific. I mean, they have to keep the actual like quantum computing, I guess, units, they have to keep them extremely, extremely cold. And that's very difficult to do.
Yeah,
So
but
it's way above my knowledge, but
the power supplies for those things take up a whole room.
yeah, I mean, it's like completely different way of computing. I mean, I think that'll really be the new revolution.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Who knows? I might end up working on it by accident.
You could. I mean, it's definitely, if somebody's interested in that, that's definitely a way to go. I mean, it could always use some great minds.
So I mean, so reeling it back, what made you want to go into this in the first place?
I think really in meteorology, the main one of the big stories for people that gets them interested is just like they have this interest since they were like a child. It's just like a fascination in the weather. Some people have specific events where it's like, "Whoa, that was amazing. This is what I wanna do." But I think, just for me, it was more just like a fascination of the weather since, like, I was young, just wanting to know how it works, wanting to understand it. It's such like an integral part in everybody's lives because it affects everybody. And then, of course, you do have those major events where it just like really grabs your attention and there's just like so much power behind these storms. And you're just like, how the heck is that possible? And so I think that, when I was in high school trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I didn't like high school does a terrible job at like telling students what kind of careers are out there.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
We all know.
So I was, like, leaning towards that, general engineering. Oh god, what am I gonna do with engineering? And then that was daunting because originally I was gonna do, like, aerospace engineering, and you gotta be smart to do that crap.
You gotta be freakishly smart, man.
Yeah, and I went and talked to one of the deans at, like, UAH, and were freaking intimidating, like so then I started looking at other options. I was like, "Well, I'm interested in the weather." I wanted to go to South, and I saw that they had a meteorology program. And so really it was just a shot in the dark. That's just kinda what I went for, and it ended up matching in, like, perfectly in line with my interests. For the most part, I mean, meteorology, the curriculum is very difficult. It's really right on line with engineering because we take a lot of the same classes as the engineers, but it's more of earth sciences instead of, like, I guess they're physical sciences and things like that, so
Man, there's something really fascinating about weather, about something something greater than yourself. I'm not trying to be hippie, but something that's more powerful
yeah,
than humans could ever be.
right.
And
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Sad thing is we try to control it just like everything else, so that's a whole rabbit hole that we probably won't go down. That's
nah, I just feel like, I feel like it's I'm make a really bad analogy that might come out. I feel like meteorology is kind of like a religion. It's basically trying to understand the unknown
yeah, I mean,
in a
isn't that
sense.
what all science is, though?
Yeah, it's awesome. I like it, man.
Science is amazing, man. Just learning new things that we never knew about and just trying to understand the way the world works. There's just something special about that. It's really awesome.
Yeah, and plus you actually get a job doing that kind of stuff. But that's another rabbit hole we
Yeah,
don't have to go down.
yeah.
Oh, how'd you feel about the government shutdown? Speaking of rabbit holes,
Dude, that was
did that affect? I'm obviously that affected you guys. Did it?
yeah. I mean, me personally, like, I was right on the borderline. I'm not I mean, I'm like, I can this is public information, so I'm a GS5, which we're on the general pay scale.
Right.
So that's public information. Anybody can go and look and see how much I make. So I'm entry level. So GS5, I'm not making a ton of money. So I was like, if we had gone any longer, I think it was like up to a month where we weren't getting paid. So I had
Yeesh.
already missed 2 paychecks and I was like borderline, I got bills to pay and everything. You don't want to have to go get a loan. Thankfully, a lot of banks were very like helpful about that, offering like loans to federal employees with 0% interest.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, but
That sense.
I still you still don't wanna have to go that route. I mean, you never wanna have to be in debt with that type of stuff. So, um, yeah, basically, I was okay. Some people, living in Birmingham, our cost of living is lower,
Right.
but those people that are working in offices like in LA or even in DC, those high cost of living places, like, they were really struggling. So, I was very fortunate that, that it didn't go any longer than it did. Otherwise, I would have been in the same place.
I got a dumb question. So when the government gets was finished shutting down, when you miss it, so when you weren't getting paid, that means the payment wasn't going to come back later. For example, if you missed two paychecks, you weren't going to see those two paychecks ever again. Is that how it works?
No, we got back pay. We did get back pay.
Okay.
So they did pay us back, and they actually did it fairly quickly. They didn't waste any time. But what's funny is those people that were actually in charge of paying, they were furloughed. So that entire month, they were at home. They weren't even working. A lot of like the higher up people that are actually in charge and stuff, and like people in charge of training in the weather service, the people that are in charge of like the actual business side of things, they were furloughed because they're not considered like essential employees.
Mm.
And so really the essential employees are the people that are considered like you need to have them for public safety. So, which is why I wasn't furloughed. I had to still work even though I wasn't getting paid.
Mm,
Um, which really sucks because if I decided, "Oh, I'm not getting paid, I don't wanna work," then I could lose my job for that.
yeah.
So it's almost like, how is this not slavery? We're having to work, but we're not getting paid.
Hey, slavery still exists. It's just right under everyone's noses. People
Yeah,
don't
but I
know.
mean, at the same time, I didn't have a problem with coming to work because I know that, people rely on what we do,
Right.
and, we're like public servants, so that's part of, the responsibilities that we take on with the job is that, we have to protect, people rely on us so we could save lives, and if we're not there, then people could lose their lives, and that's a big deal, so,
Yeah, that is a big deal.
yeah.
What kind of vertical mobility is available for you from GS5? Where
Mhm.
can you go? Basically.
So, I believe I can being a federal job, we actually get promoted fairly quickly, so, I'm still in my probationary period. It's a one-year probationary period.
Mm,
I started in August, so, by the time I get that 1 year done, I should get a promotion and get a pretty good pay increase and everything like that. Um, but yeah, we can go up to GS-12, I believe, and then from there, you can start bidding higher, but I think higher than that is, like, management positions. So we have like three technical management in our office. One is the MIC, which is the meteorologist in charge. The other one is the WCM, the warning coordination meteorologist. And then the third one is the SU, that's the science and operations officer. And so they're the actual management, and they're a little bit higher pay grades, I believe. But it is a lot more competitive to get in there. So you can get into like, GS 13, 14, 15, and all that. But I don't completely understand that whole realm of things yet. Yeah, basically, as I continue to get experience, I get bumped up to GS-12, and then I get, like lead forecaster to where I'm in charge of everyone on the floor, which is a big responsibility as well because you got to call the shots basically. Um, so
is that a position you want to move into, or
yeah,
that you're aspiring towards, or is there
yeah,
something else on?
at some point that would be the goal. I don't know if I would want to do management or not, but there's so many other opportunities too. Like if you're not even if you don't wanna stay in the office, you could go, you could do, like, the headquarters type stuff, the business side of things in DC or Silver Spring, Maryland. You could be, hydrologist. We have 1 hydrologist in each office. And then, of course, the OPL I was talking about, observations program leader, if you like going out more actually into the field and doing that hands-on type of stuff, you could shoot for that. Um, there's so many other offices, like, you could work for, a river forecast center. There's, regional river forecast centers. You could work for, like, space weather, um,
That sounds fun.
something center. I don't even remember the name. You could work for, like, climate prediction center, hurricane prediction center, storm prediction center,
That's a lot of
um,
predictions.
national data buoy center. I mean, there's so many different offices within, like, the National Weather Service scope, kind of all under NOAA. And so, yeah.
There's so many different specializations, but you caught me with the space forecast.
Yeah, the space weather or something or another. Yeah, it's
What
that's really interesting to me, but I don't even know how I would begin to
what
get there. I mean,
what is space weather?
yeah, I mean,
Space.
they look at like the sun, the output from the sun and how that affects like, geomagnetic of the Earth's atmosphere and things like that, how it will impact satellites. If the sun like lets out a burst of energy or whatever, how's that going to impact satellites and things like that?
That's interesting. I just pulled up a website. I don't know if this is legit. It said spaceweather.com.
Yeah.
First thing I see is geomagnetic unrest. I'm like, yeah, this is out of my realm of understanding what the fuck is going on here.
It's
But
crazy.
it seems really cool though.
I mean, I love space, so I would that caught my eye too, but I don't know if I'm, like, qualified for that. I don't know if that's a different track you'd have to take in college or what, because I didn't learn anything about, like, sun output or anything when I was taking meteorology courses.
I feel like when it comes to that, it just comes with might have to do with work experience and how you specialize early on in your career.
Yeah, that could be too, and a lot of it is on the job learning, and you gotta really take it into your hands to keep learning throughout your career. I mean, it's up to you really how far you wanna go.
Yeah, I mean, school didn't teach anyone shit. I
That's
mean,
true. High school was so worthless. Like, it was so worthless. Literally, when I went to college, I basically retook every class I took in high school again.
Yeah, man.
So I could have just gone from like middle school to college, and then I would have been perfectly on the same
I
track.
mean, probably. I mean, the public education in Alabama, it's so shit. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still pretty bad.
Yeah,
What is Alabama ranked for worst education? 2 now? It used to be number 1.
I heard. I don't know. I heard recently like we were like 49th in the country for math, and then like 46th in reading on our scores.
Yeah, well, that explains a lot about this state.
Yeah, which
Sport.
is I guess that's why they repealed Common Core. They're trying to figure out how the heck they're gonna fix that.
What was your opinion on Common Core?
Um, I don't really I don't know how much of an effect that had on us. Did that have a big effect on us when we were in
I
school?
don't think we did shit with Common Core,
I
dude.
don't know either. A lot of the people in my office now who have kids that are in school, they learn like 5 different ways like how to multiply. Instead of just like the basic way to multiply, they learn like 5 different ways. And they're so complicated and you have to make like these charts on like the board and put a number here and a number here, do all this crazy tricks and then you get the answer and it's like that's so confusing.
You think Common Core was trying they weren't trying to teach you how to answer the question correctly, but they were trying to teach you how to think different ways?
It
Was
could
that what it
be.
is?
That could be, but I mean
But it's yeah,
that's
it's
more confusing than anything.
yeah, it was a really terrible way of trying to teach kids.
If it's your first time learning something, you don't need to learn 100 different ways to do it.
No, yeah, that's stupid. I got actually got a Russian Cal professor I might bring on the podcast. I want to ask him his opinion about Common Core. He does some research on topology, which I don't know what the fuck that's about either.
That sounds crazy.
It is. He's from Ukraine. He's
Okay,
hilarious.
that
He's
explains
hilarious, dude.
it.
He's hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
But I feel like what were you talking shit about? Oh yeah, high school. I don't know, man. Like it just felt like it's probably just prison. Who knows?
It really is. I hated it, man.
I hated it
I
too.
don't miss any second of it.
God.
I really don't.
There's some things I miss, like talking shit about people.
The only thing I miss really is maybe like sports, football, but it's the camaraderie part of football. It's not the like going through hell constantly part. It was
Yeah,
just the friendships that you had and the camaraderie, brotherhood. I mean, that's what I miss the most. But the actual like school part, I don't really miss any of that. It was
I
just
don't.
8 was it, like 8 hours of just sitting in a desk and trying to listen to somebody? I mean, it's scientifically proven to be, like, extremely inefficient.
No, yeah, it's completely ineffective
Yeah.
because first of all, 80%, I'm throwing numbers, but a large majority of people who go to school, like high schools, they don't pay attention. I didn't pay attention. I got out with a 3.7.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like this is not very accurate, you know? It's because I'm not that smart. Be honest, and I
No,
got by
you
with
are pretty smart
3.7.
on.
No, I'm just fucking lazy in some ways. I just find shortcuts to everything,
Yeah.
but I feel like going back to technology, what we were talking about. Yeah, I'm surprised the internet hasn't replaced the traditional education yet.
It's getting there.
It's gonna get there. I
That
mean,
honestly helped me get through college. Like, I couldn't imagine not having the internet. Like, what would you have to go to the library to learn how to do stuff?
I mean, the library's a fucking joke now. I mean, your public
Yeah.
library is like, oh, I got a public library right here. It's called my laptop,
R
my computer, my
yeah.
phone. You
I
know,
mean, some of the classes I took, I have no idea how anybody got through it before the internet. I really can't imagine.
you're just really smart, I guess, dude.
They're so difficult that there's so many things that you can't learn in like an hour session of sitting through class and in a lecture. I mean, you have to do outside like research on your own to get things truly.
So, what kind of You said you had to take some courses, sort of similar to engineering courses. What kind
Mhm.
of courses did you have to take?
Well, we took all the basic like calculus and physics.
What's the highest cal you had to go up to?
I took all of them, so it depends. Like I went up to Cal 3, I
Mm,
believe, or Cal 4. Some universities Cal 4 is the same thing as Cal 3. But
right.
basically I took the max calculus you could take. And then I took like the physics, calculus-based physics, which is the engineering one. They had
Mm,
like the basic physics classes and then they had the ones that the engineers took. So we were in like just meteorologists in class with a bunch of engineers, clueless as hell because the lecturer up there, the professor is targeting everything he's saying to engineers and not to the broad scope. So it really doesn't apply to anything that we do, and it's just confusing. But
I do know at UAB, cal-based physics is actually a joke. Well, the lab is. The
yeah,
lab was hilarious. I had a friend who was in it. He said the first lab class they had to do was measure table. He says, "I shit you not." and I had to pay a lab fee for this shit too. Thank God I didn't have to do that.
You'd be surprised how many people don't know how to use a ruler or a tape measure.
Oh, where do they start from? They start from one.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be surprised, like, they're confused by all the tick marks and everything.
Maybe because they haven't gotten their ass whooped. I don't know.
Probably so.
Do you think corporal punishment from parents? This I know this is completely off topic, man, but do you think now we're talking about parents, but what do you think about hitting a child as punishment or some form of harsh punishment?
I think there's a limit to it, just like there's a limit to everything, but, I mean, I had that kind of punishment, and I turned out alright, so
Yeah.
it really depends. You don't wanna, like, beat them, but I think, like, there's a certain, part where, if they do something wrong and then they feel a slap or whatever, they're like, "Okay, I don't like that. I don't wanna do that wrong thing again." Until they get to that point to where they can morally make the right decisions,
Yeah.
because when you're young, you don't know what morals are. You just want what you want.
Mhm.
No, I want this and that, you know what I mean? So, until they get to that point where, they can actually morally make their own right and wrong decisions, then I guess you wouldn't have to punish them that way anymore.
I don't know, man. I feel like I was also brought up the same way,
Mhm.
and I feel like there's a certain if I ever get kids, I feel like there's gonna be a certain line that they can't cross, and if they cross that line, for example, damn, okay. So, for example, if you I always think about this. I was thinking about how am I gonna raise my kids,
Yeah.
and I just think if they're let's just say I'm rich, for example. Let's just say just for the fuck of it, and they start flaunting my wealth to someone else, I will personally go to that school and beat the fuck out of my own kid. Like straight up. I was like, put
Yeah.
on the pads. We're getting in the ring right now. Cause I'm because that's unacceptable to me, man.
Yeah,
I don't know, but maybe some parents feel like that's too far, but some parents didn't go far enough,
right.
as you can tell. I mean,
Well, I mean, you gotta teach them, to work for what they get. Like, there's certain celebrities, I can't remember exactly who, I was reading the other day, like, they have so much money, but they don't give, like, any of it to their kids, like, they don't shower them in anything, they live normal lives so that they don't, grow up spoiled and just expect everything.
I think Dr. Dre's kids, he doesn't give anything. He doesn't give a lot to his kids
I think
either.
it was Gordon Ramsay too that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, man. Dude, that restaurant business is rough. Have you ever worked a restaurant job?
I have not.
Oh man,
Man, I
you
always was gonna stay as far away from that as possible just
I,
because of the stories I heard.
I think that's a valuable lesson that high schoolers should learn.
Yeah.
Working retail during the holiday seasons and working food service.
I heard enough to where I knew, like I was like, "Okay, I'm never doing that."
Oh, but you haven't experienced, man. You haven't experienced all the crack addicts, all the meth heads in the back.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need to experience that.
It was a fun time, man. I didn't do anything, but just to see these guys from completely different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Some of them were former criminals. It was hilarious. Me
I
as a
mean
16-year-old was like, what social life in high school? I mean, this is my social life right here.
yeah. I worked manual labor type stuff, so
What did you do? Landscaping kind of stuff?
no, I worked for a furniture wholesaler, and
Mm.
so he owned his own business, and he basically just, like, designed the layout for, like, desks and rooms for, like, schools and businesses. They picked the furniture that they wanted, and then he ordered it for them, and so, like, I had to be there when it got delivered. So I basically just delivered a lot of heavy shit out of, truck big trucks. Like, the heaviest thing I probably had to, like, pull out of a truck was, like, this 10,000-pound desk. I didn't pull it out by myself, but it took,
Holy
like,
shit.
6 guys to get this 10,000-pound desk out of this truck, and then you have to make sure not to break it or scratch it,
Yeah,
because if
that's
you
another
get
thing.
one scratch on it, then it's, like, a really big deal. The buyer will, like, see that and, like, call you out, and it's a really big deal, so
10,000-pound desk?
it was, like, pure oak, just, like, ridiculously heavy.
A
It was
d-
like a library desk, so it was really long too, and I mean, it was
and they didn't sell it in pieces.
no, it was,
No.
like, already put together, and you just had to hope to God that you had, like, 10 strong guys to carry this thing.
10 guys with that's 1,000 pounds a person. What the fuck?
It was really heavy. All we had to do was lower it down onto the, like, the the what are they called? The furniture dollies, basically. So all we had to do was just try our best to lower it down onto the ground and then set it
Yeesh.
on these furniture dollies, and then we could push it. So we
Yeesh.
weren't really, like, picking it up and carrying it. We're not like a bunch of Hulks or anything, but
That would have been impressive. Like 10
yeah.
guys? Like, look at that shit. Look at them. They're carrying like 3 cars. 10 of those guys with
Yeah.
their hands. How'd you meet your girlfriend?
Um
We were all really surprised when we saw that too.
Oh, really? Like, every
Yeah, the fact you had a girlfriend.
What's so surprising?
I'm just fucking with you. But how'd you
No.
meet her? How'd you meet her? I'm curious.
I met her at school, so it's actually kinda funny, like, for the longest time, I was, like, pretty much running from her, you know? Because I was, like I went into school, like, so focused on just, like, my schooling and just, what I had to do and get done and everything, and so I met her through some of my friends, meteorology friends, and, I mean, she chased after me, took care of me, she was selfless. Eventually, I was just like it just kinda clicked. I was like, "Okay, like, I gotta stop just focusing on this one thing and see if I can divide time up for a relationship because I wasn't originally planning on a relationship, I was just so driven on what I was trying to accomplish, so I made time, and it's worked out so far, I mean.
That's interesting. I always find it interesting. This might come off as racist, but it feels like when it comes to um, Asians, Hispanics,
Yeah.
and blacks, they take care of you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it just seems like from the outside.
I don't know, I mean, yeah, maybe so. It's the only experience I've had with that, so I couldn't say for sure, but, I mean, she's been great to me and taking care of me, and
Well, that's good.
yeah.
That's weird though. Chasing you? Huh.
Not, like, chasing me in the street or anything, but
That's, like we
but
got.
persistent, you know?
What did she do at South?
Um, she was actually really involved with the community. Her major was, like, a communication degree.
Uh huh.
She minored in, German. She did some marketing stuff, concentration in, like, public relations and things like that. Um, so it's actually pretty cool she could speak fluent German, though it's hard to get her to do it around me.
Oh, she doesn't like talking
Yeah,
about it.
which I don't know why she picked that language, but I think it's pretty awesome. But anyways, so yeah,
Huh.
she was pretty involved with campus life. She was an RA and all that stuff and part of different associations and things of that nature. So,
And she's done with school?
yep, she graduated a year before I did.
Hmm.
So, and then she didn't really go into her field. She was working for Books a Million and she like got bumped up so quickly, like within a year she was already a manager. So she stuck with that because she has like a huge passion for reading and for books. And so she stuck with that and made something out of it.
Ooh, that's something
So,
else. That's something else my cousin is going through. He got done with a pre-pharmacy degree, but he's
mhm.
been working with Amazon. They've been paying him pretty well. He just said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna work for Amazon." And
Right.
I find it funny.
Yeah. That happens a lot with a lot of people, which is kind of sad because you just spent all that money getting a degree and then you're not even working in your field. But it's really what it boils down to is just whatever makes you happy, you know?
Yeah, I feel like I'm hoping soon less people just go to college just because it's a thing to do.
Yeah.
Because hang on, damn this coffee. I don't know what I put in it. This coffee's giving me heartburn. What did I do? But I hope our generation is the last generation that just goes to college just for the fuck of it, and they stop falling for this college life bullshit. Because the turnover rate is terrible in college.
Yeah.
For example, I mean, most people who do go in college, they take out these loans, but they don't finish. So what are they stuck with? Debt,
Right. So
and not even a degree to help them get a starting position, even in a field that has nothing to do with what they want to do in the first place.
I think a lot of people don't know what they wanna do when they go to college, and so they're in over their head, and if you aren't, like, focused on what you wanna do beforehand, it's really easy to lose focus and to get caught up in all the other things that are going on in campus life and stuff like that,
Yeah, this,
and before you know it, you've wasted so much money, you're bombing out of all your classes, and you're done, and then it's like, what was the point? So you really gotta take it into your own hands and, know what you're going for, really.
yeah, because you're basically giving a kid, because that's what you are at 18. That's what we are at 18. You're a kid. I believe you are a kid until you're 30. That's what I
Yeah.
believe. You are throwing a kid to make a huge financial decision, and you're giving them freedom too. Oh no,
Yeah.
that's some bad. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it's really insane when you think about it.
But it's a genius business idea.
I mean, it works out. It still works out for a lot of people. It worked out for me.
That's good.
I mean, so there is still hope there. It's not just completely hopeless endeavor. But
Maybe because you're around a lot of people who do succeed from it. Because me, I'm around a lot of people. I'm around are degenerates to say the least. At least 85% of the people I'm around, but the small 15% of the people I'm around who I guess are pretty normal, have a pretty good head on their shoulders,
yeah,
you know,
I
it
mean,
works
put
out.
put yourself around people that are driven like you are. There's like a level of competition that develops there. Like, and I noticed that in my own like classes and meteorology and stuff. Like, there's this like aura of competition, and so that actually helps you guys to push each other and to try and do better. And we did things like forecast challenges in our senior year, where we were like forecasting and like actually competing against each other,
Hmm.
and so that, like, makes you want to actually, study and understand what the heck you're talking about and,
But
improve.
I think for that to happen first, someone needs to find what they want to do first.
Yeah.
And my first major, music. I mean, a lot of them didn't know what the fuck was going on. I mean, a lot of them, and I know someone's gonna listen to this and give me shit, but a majority of them, I feel they were trying to live their life like they already had something ready and settled out when they didn't,
Mhm.
and they just didn't have a direction or a real idea of what they wanted to do. So I feel that level of competition can only come from when people really know what they want to do.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I guess I can see that. I mean, yeah.
I think the best thing for an 18-year-old to do after high school is just work for 2 years, take a break for a year.
Mhm.
This fucking coffee, dude.
Dang,
This
man.
coffee's giving me
That thing's
heartburn.
tearing you up.
Yeah, but
Jesus.
or or travel somewhere, save up some money and just go travel out of the country.
One day. See, that's the thing, though, is it takes so much money, and if you haven't.
But I feel like I feel like that gives you more perspective though.
Yeah.
Traveling, even just a road trip across the U.S. If you were to start from Alabama and just drive all the way to California, just coast to coast road trip.
I wanna do that one day. I mean, the US is huge. Like, we've got basically every kind of geographical, like, terrain you could imagine, so, you could just see, like, forests, Appalachian Mountains down here, and then you can go west and see, like, the desert and the freaking Rocky Mountains and, like, the plains and the Midwest. I mean, there's so many different things to see and, like, so many different cultures along the way too. It's
It's,
really amazing.
it's a big learning experience too, because I remember when I went to Vegas. I mean, the drive there with my family, it was nothing. It was
Yeah.
desolate. There was one gas station on that road we were on, and it looked like it came out of a fucking Western movie. It was like, this is the last gas station for, I don't know, 100 miles.
So you're screwed if you run out of gas. I
Yeah,
mean,
you're
you're
screwed basically. You just become coyote food. But
damn.
you ever been to Grand Canyon?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you need to.
The
It's
farthest
beautiful.
west I've been was really Texas and Oklahoma, which is pretty sad, but I've been a lot of places on the eastern half of the US, but I haven't been very far west.
There's only a few places I've been east in the U.S. It's like New Jersey, New York,
Mhm.
Florida, Atlanta. That's about it.
Yeah.
Oh, and DC too. So I guess I've been to a few decent spots. West Coast, it's just Vegas and California. We just kind of skip the whole Midwest because we don't have any family there.
Yeah. I wanna go to Colorado or Wyoming just to see the mountains,
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, me too.
just because I hear how beautiful it is.
I bet the people there are happier too, just because of how much nature they're around.
True.
Think about it.
Yeah, I'm actually really into mountain biking too, which I haven't been able to do it lately, which makes me sad because 'cause I've been so busy. But, like, there's this insane trail that runs from, like, somewhere in Canada, I don't know if it's, like, Manitoba, Canada, and then it goes south all the way through, like, all those mountains in Wyoming, Colorado, all those areas, and ends, like, right at the border of Mexico.
I
And
had
it's,
a
like, over a 1,000-mile long journey of, like, mountain bike trails, and you just get to see so much landscape of, like, I've seen, like, videos and pictures, and it's just amazing. Like, That's on my bucket list to do one day, but you have to be in really good shape to do that because
Yeah.
it takes, like, a couple months to do.
Yeah, cardio is something I struggle with. I've been doing a lot of powerlifting, but when it comes to cardio, it's terrible. I can
Yeah.
barely run on the treadmill for I can
Yeah, I'm the
barely
same
jog
way.
for
I've never
15
been good
minutes.
at cardio. It just makes you feel like you're dying, and you
Yeah.
just have to push through that point where you're just like you feel like you're gonna pass out. That's
Yeah,
the only way to get better is to push yourself past your limit,
that's true.
which really sucks. You have to have that mindset.
Yeah, it gets a little dangerous sometimes. That's something I ran into when I was working a lot more in my field or audio, is I just see guys who would just pour their whole soul and life into it, and
Mhm.
it would just turn them into these bitter, hateful people because it didn't turn out the way they wanted to.
Yeah.
Well, that got deep real quick.
Yeah, it
I
did.
actually had a friend who I forgot what trail he hiked, but he went on like a 6-month hike
It could be the Appalachian Trail.
from the Appalachian Trail.
Could be. I mean, that's a really popular one that takes months.
Yeah, and then I think he went from how far does the Appalachian Trail go up? Because he told me he went up really far north.
I mean, it goes all the way from, like, northeastern Alabama, and then, like I don't know if that's actually where the trail starts, I'm just thinking of the mountain range. And then
Mm.
it goes all the way up to, heck, I don't know, like, probably Vermont, all the way up that way.
Yeah, that's where he started. He started at Vermont and then ended up back in Alabama.
Yeah.
And then he tried approaching me, say hello to me, and I didn't know who he was. He looked like a homeless dude because he lost so much weight and he got so much facial hair. I was like, oh, what's this dude
Yeah,
asking me for
it's
money?
insane what happens to those people. I mean, it's like a life decision. It's almost like it's, like, equivalent to trying to, climb Mount Everest, like, it changes you.
It does, man.
It takes a lot out of you, but it's awesome when you're done.
Man, that makes me curious about monks who live in the mountains, like Nepal. Who just live
Yeah.
in isolation away from all this bullshit. Makes you think, man. It also makes you think where here I am coming with the existential questions today, but all this history, everything we've worked on, everything we developed, on the grand scale of things, that really doesn't mean anything. Like if the earth were to blow up tomorrow or right now, what 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 proof is there that we were ever here? I just think about that all the time because I still got a history class I'm taking right now to get rid of a bullshit class, but I just think about it all the time.
You really just have to think about your legacy that you're leaving behind, I think.
Well, the crazy thing is, if the earth blows up, then what kind of legacy are you leaving behind?
Well, up until that point, you have people that you care about that'll hopefully that you care about that'll live after you're gone. So it's like, what do you leave behind for them, you know? That's the way I try to think about it because you can get like really down in the dumps if you start to have that mindset of, oh, this is so pointless. The
Actually,
world's just gonna end anyways.
some people do get depressed thinking about it, but I think that's beautiful in a sense
Yeah.
because it's something so fragile and something so fragile and so insignificant, but it's beautiful at the same time.
All right.
It's a weird hypocritical statement that kind of just pulls from both ends. So I don't get really depressed when I see how small Earth is in the grand scheme of things, because that's I
It,
don't know, that's too
it
existential right now. I
it's
can't think.
mind blowing. Like I watched this video yesterday. They just posted it in like the end of March. I don't know if you've seen it. It already has like 5 million views. It's called like A Journey to the End or something like that.
Oh God,
And it takes you through the journey all the way to the end of like time, basically, to where the actual universe like is done. All the black holes explode, and like the only thing that's left is darkness. And then
yeah,
like the protons are decaying. And it's like it literally they had it like happening like a trillion, 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 trillion years from now. I'm
yeah.
like,
My dad loves watching that all the time. Every time I just creep in and say, "Hey, what you watching?" Oh, I'm watching how the Earth's gonna get consumed in roughly a second of a time span in the grand scheme of space, which is actually 10 million years in the future.
yeah. A lot of people actually believe that right now we're in the next mass extinction.
I
There's
don't,
been, like, several mass extinctions already in, like,
right.
the past of history. Of course, the previous one, I guess, was, like, the meteor hitting the Earth and everything. But a lot of
Yeah.
people actually believe we're in the next one now.
That's why I think some people are trying to, not some people, there's a push going towards humans being a multi-planet species,
Yeah.
which means you got more land to fight over. It's gonna end up being Manifest Destiny 2.0, man.
That's true.
That's
There's
just the
something beautiful about space, though, is that, like, even in the space station, you have all those countries that are together and they work together, even when hell's breaking loose down on Earth.
well, we can only hope so for a
Yeah,
bit. I don't trust people enough to.
whether or not that would continue, I think
Oh, pull
you
your mic
have
up.
to work together.
Pull your mic up, by the way. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I think you have to work together, like, when you're in space because it's new to everybody else. Like, if you don't work together, then it's not gonna succeed. Otherwise, it'd just be pointless.
Right, but people are stupid. They'll find a reason to get mad at each other. They start a war over like a chicken wing or something
Yeah.
stupid.
I
So
mean
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say something stupid.
Okay. I mean, they're planning on go to Mars and everything, and, like, I've heard that their main goal, I guess, is to change the atmosphere on Mars, like, add oxygen, basically, but, like, the period to where you could actually grow a plant, it would be, like, another 100 years.
I heard it was actually gonna be another 200, maybe even
It
500.
it could be. It would be past our lifetime, basically. But it would take so long to get the atmosphere to where it would sustain life. And I don't know how they're planning on even doing that, control it. They would have to, like, build up the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere and, like, warm it up, and I mean, that's, like, a monumental task. I don't even know if humans can do that.
Hey,
That's playing God at that point, basically.
but hey, Elon Musk sent a Tesla to Mars, so anything is possible, right?
This Tesla's still going, actually, like, it's just out, like,
It's just out.
past the asteroid belt at this point.
Yeah, I know one of the rovers died on Mars. There's two more rovers on Mars right now. They're doing their
I
thing.
think the Curiosity rover's still going. I think the one that just died was Opportunity.
Yeah, imagine the rover just pulling up to a Tesla.
I know.
Imagine the Tesla is actually a rover. It's just Elon Musk was fucking with us the whole time. It's like, haha, it's actually a rover.
He's insane. He's the one that's gonna get it done, though. If anybody's gonna get it done, it'd be him because he has, like, he takes chances, you know what I mean?
I feel like in order to be that brilliant, and this is going to segue into talking about Tony in a second, but in order to be at that certain level of genius, or when it comes to movie directors, I mean, look at Quentin Tarantino. He's fucking crazy,
Yeah.
but he makes some. He just makes some fun films, some great films. I mean, just to be at that level of either genius or artistic genius, you have to be a little crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's what it takes.
Speaking of that, I think Tony's kind of borderlining on it now. Because sometimes I try to talk to him and his thoughts aren't very coherent anymore. I don't know how else to say it, man. Yeah, he's still fun to talk to. I love talking to him,
hilarious.
but sometimes when he goes on a tangent, he just loses his own train of thought.
Tony's a deep thinker in a way, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he can lose it sometimes, probably because he's not sleeping right.
Yeah, you were telling me about his sleep schedule, man. Were you saying you were getting annoyed by his sleep schedule a bit?
Yeah. I mean, he'll sleep, like, during the day. I don't know if he's still doing that now, but at the time, he would sleep during the day and then wake up at night to work, and then he would go to class, like, towards the end of his, like, sleep period, and so by the time he came back from class, it was, like, mid-afternoon or whatever, and he'd just go to sleep again. So he was working all through night when he would wake up, and I guess, hey, if it worked for him, that's awesome, but it was really hard to talk to him, or if I had, like, a question or something, I didn't wanna bother him because 'cause he'd be asleep.
Mm.
But it
Yeah.
was just strange, especially, like, when you're going to sleep and then it's, like, 12 a.m. and you're smelling coffee brewing because he's just waking up.
When it's 3 in the morning and you smell like him cooking lunch.
Yeah, seriously, that happened a lot.
Who was that? I remember we visited your apartments. I know this is going all over the place. We visited your apartment and he was in our class. Okay, I think we're back. But yeah, wasn't there a homeless guy staying in y'all's apartment?
A homeless guy?
He wasn't that old, but he didn't have a place to stay.
Are you talking about Steve, maybe?
I don't know. I just remember when Tony, Austin,
We
me,
had we
and
had
you.
several guys that would just crash on our couch for, like, weeks on end and then
Yeah.
just leave. I mean, isn't that how college life is? You just have people that'll crash in your place?
I don't know because I didn't have a very traditional college experience. My college experience was go to school, maybe go to the gym, and get the fuck away from there as fast as possible. That was my
Yeah.
college experience.
I mean, at one point, De'Arius McLeod crashed on our
Yeah,
couch.
I think that's who I'm talking about.
Is that
What?
who you're thinking of?
Yeah, I was like, hey, Darius. I'm like, do you have your own home to stay? What's going on here, bud?
He was one of many people that crashed on that couch at one point.
That's funny.
We had another guy, Steve, he actually lived there for a little while, and then rent got too expensive because rent in there was really expensive. It was like one of those college apartment places,
How
like,
much was it?
gosh, it was like 5 something a month, close to 600 a month, but you've got 4 people staying in there.
Hmm.
So they're making, like per unit, they're making, like, $2,000 per unit. So they're
Ooh,
making a ton of
delicious.
money every month.
Ooh, delicious.
I
Sounds
mean,
great.
yeah. So it was a lot. I mean, the only good thing about it was that it was right across the street from campus. But anyways, it got too expensive for Steve to stay there. So he left and got like some shithole to live in. But he kept coming back to the apartment to like sleep on the couch and use our like clothes washer and dryer. So he was bumming off of us and not
Uh,
paying rent at that point.
oh, you needed to charge him, man.
He was cool. I mean, he worked at GNC at one point and he would like bring me tons of like free supplements.
Oh yeah, I
So
remember seeing that on the counter when I came over.
yeah, so we couldn't charge him, man. He was good to us for a period there.
Yeah, he gave you the hookup with GNC and them.
Yeah.
I remember just seeing a bunch of packages of what are those masks, like those clay masks that people would put on that are
Yeah.
good for your skin. I was like, what the
I
fuck is
think
going on
yeah, he
here?
brought those too, I remember. That's hilarious.
That is hilarious. All right, this is a weird segue, but do people mix up what you do with what James Spann does?
All the time. Literally all the time. Because like I said, most of the people have no idea what the National Weather Service is. Like, be honest, did you have any idea going into
No,
this?
I didn't know anything, dude. That's why I got you
Yeah.
on the show.
Yeah, and that's cool. I mean, it's understandable because in the past we haven't really been huge on like outreach and stuff like that, but that's changing now. But yeah, a lot of people just whenever I tell them that I was gonna be a meteorologist and that I have a job with whatever, they're like their immediate question is, "Oh, what channel are you on?"
Oh
Like,
yeah.
that's the first thing they ask every time, and they always will bring up James Spann. "One day you'll be the next James Spann." And so I got to the point where, like, starting off, I would correct them, "Oh, no, I'm not actually on TV, I work for the Weather Service, blah, 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 blah," and go into detail. It got to the point where it was happening so much that I would just, like, nod my head and agree with them. Oh, I was like, "Oh, yeah, one day, maybe one day I will
Nah,
be
you
on
you
TV."
should have just told him I work at a tobacco warehouse.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we get that all the time, though,
I-
but
yeah.
I mean, James Spann though, he's amazing. Like he really is like one of the best at what he does.
He's
So
been in the game for a while too, obviously.
yeah,
Hmm.
he has been in a while, and I don't know. He's probably still got a lot left in him. He's still extremely active. The man only sleeps like 4 hours a night.
Yeah, I was watching an interview and I was just listening to what his schedule was like. This dude's fucking insane too.
I go to sleep, and he'll still be making posts like on his page and everything. I'll wake up the next day, and he's already making posts again. So it was like somewhere in between the time I was asleep, he must have took like a quick cat nap or something and just got right back to it.
Yeah, I think he was telling me, not telling me like I talked to him, but he was there was an interview where he would just discuss how insane his schedule was, and it's something and went along the lines of some days, some nights he would only sleep 2 hours. He'd
Yeah.
have that, he just have that crazy obsession about it, which is good.
See, if I did that, I wouldn't be able to focus on anything. I don't understand how he gets stuff done and how he's able to focus and like form sentences and think clearly. It's
I
really
mean,
amazing.
you got to be different
You have
to
to be.
be at that level. I think to be extremely good at something, there's something you have to sacrifice along the way. Whether it's
Yeah.
like social life, a social norm you have. Like we could talk about Tony.
Yeah.
He's not normal. So I mean, there's there's something you have to do. Just you have to be fucking insane to be that good
Oh,
at
you're right.
anything. I mean, even actors. We look at Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
He's a great actor. I don't like him because he's a pedophile, or supposedly. I don't know. But yeah, that what you were talking about when people mix up what you do with James Spann.
Mhm.
I had that happen to me with my family because I told them, oh, I work in entertainment. So they automatically think I'm working in Hollywood. I was like, no, this is not how any of this shit works.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just also ended up telling them I just work in a warehouse. I don't
How's your music coming along though? I mean, how's
I don't
everything doing?
I don't make music. I mix for people. I don't know if you remember Greg Clark.
Yeah.
He's opening up. I worked with him for a bit. He's opening up for Young Thug sometime next month,
Oh wow.
which is good because I've been working with him and his No Coast crew for a bit, and I'm
Mhm.
glad they're finally moving up a bit more. They're getting bigger. They're getting bigger shows and more opportunities. I don't know if it's obviously not going to lead to a placement because that's just the show, but it's a good first step, especially for young.
Right. I mean, you gotta start somewhere.
You do, and they're at it. And the interesting thing is, two of the artists I work with, they're actually programming majors, so they just
Wow.
do music on the side, but they're actually software programmers, which is awesome. I love working with musicians who aren't drugged up and
Mm.
ignorant.
Yeah.
This coffee's messing me up. Fuck!
Dude.
Oh man,
Well, keep with it on, seriously. I mean, just don't ever give up on that.
it's a fun side hobby.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of turned it into. The way I kind of approach it now, I kind of approach it like a podcast. Is I just do it for fun. I don't. I obviously make money off mixing. I'm not giving out free
Mhm.
mixes, but I don't. It's not. When I say it's not a main focus of mine when it comes to making money, that means it just gives me more freedom creatively. That means I can enjoy it a bit more when I do come to it because there's some, and people may disagree or agree with me or not. Some people go through the model of you gotta go balls out 80 hours a week on this, and I
Mhm.
respect that too.
Yeah.
But I'm under a different philosophy just because I've seen a lot of people who've done the balls out 80 hours a week and they're not anywhere.
You've gotta find balance. I mean, that's you can't get anywhere without some kind of balance.
And I feel like this is one of the fields that takes time to
Yeah.
develop and grow.
Patience too.
It does. It's consistency. You gotta be patient with yourself, and it's gonna take a lot longer than you think.
Right. And some people just get some people get extremely lucky and they just have one thing that just blows up and then they're set for life.
Right.
But it's like for most people, you really have to keep working to get there.
And the crazy thing about it is once you get there, that's the beginning because the hardest album or the hardest thing for act once they blow up to do, people don't realize it. The hardest thing to do after you blow up is make a second one.
Right.
That's why so many artists just kind of do one hit wonders and they
Yeah.
just disappear.
If you can keep that going, then you're one of the good ones. That's when you know that it's the real deal.
Another thing is scary, that's detrimental to a lot of careers is succeeding too early. And I don't think people realize the dangers of that.
Mhm.
Um, I know I'm talking about music people a lot, but when we compare designer's career versus Travis Scott had been consistent in the entertainment industry, just working for a while. He started off as beat maker, then he was a rapper. So his progression into his success, I like that progression a lot better than designers, because designer, he blew up and then he went away. No one knows who the fuck he is anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just another tangent I got. Have you ever thought about storm chasing? My mom wanted to do it for a bit.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
She
awesome.
was interested when she first immigrated to America. That was actually one of the things on her mind is she wanted to be a storm chaser.
That's awesome. The only problem with it is there's no money in it.
Right. Probably because it's inconsistent.
Yeah. Unless you make a name for yourself, which there are several storm chasers that have made a name for themselves, and they probably make good money off of it. Otherwise, it's just a hobby. It's not like really something you could be serious with. I mean, I have a friend that I graduated with, and he actually does some chasing. He's from Miami, so his really main focus is like hurricanes and stuff. And so he actually was there when Hurricane Michael made landfall, and he got some pretty cool footage. He actually sold his first clip to some company in England for like $200. It was like a 12-second clip,
Oh,
but it was like $200. So I mean, you could sell little clips like that if you actually make a good product and make some money that way. But I don't think you could ever really make a living off of it unless you're like the real deal.
that's a fun little side hustle. But then I look at what kind of vehicles you need to actually safely
A lot of
storm
people
chase.
a lot of people rent cars. I think they're trying to crack down on that now.
They try to
But
crack down on renting storm chasers.
yeah, like rental companies, they probably know. But, a lot of like storm chasers they'll rent cars that way they're not having their car get destroyed by the storm.
Right. Yeah.
Because, hail will completely tear your car apart. So,
Yeah, dude. I'm looking at some of these cars that are designed for storm chasing, and they look like they come out of a Mad Max movie.
yeah, like the armored. Yeah,
Yeah,
Dominator and whatever they're called.
one of these things is actually a fucking tank that somebody just decided, oh, this is a storm chasing vehicle. Like, no,
Yeah.
that's a tank that you took the top gun off of and you just drive it around.
You don't have to worry about it getting destroyed.
No, you don't. You don't. God, these
Yeah, I mean, I've actually never been storm chasing myself, but I would definitely love to go at some point.
God,
I
these
would have to go with somebody experienced though, because I don't wanna go out there and just not know what the heck I'm doing.
nah, of course not. I wouldn't want to do it either. I'd be like, nope,
Yeah,
I'll see you suckers later.
yeah, and Dixie Alley, like, the Southeast is a really bad part of the country to storm chase in.
So why is that? Why is
Even
that the
though we
case?
get just as much, if not more tornadoes than the, you know, tornado alley that everybody knows about,
Uh-huh.
um, it's a lot more dangerous to storm chase out here because you have hills, you've got trees, um, the roads out in the Midwest are, like, gridded, they're like squares basically, so it's like all the roads are straight. It's like, 90-degree angles. Out here, you've got winding roads and hills and all kinds of other crap. And so it's really dangerous to chase out here. We get what's called like high precipitation supercells, which means a lot of our tornadoes out here are rain wrapped, so you can't even see them. It'll just look like this giant rain shaft, rain shield, and then the tornado's actually in there. And so people will drive into that crap. Whereas like out in the Midwest, they get more LP supercells, which is low precipitation. Really, the main reason for that is just because 'cause we're here at the Gulf, so we have, like, the Gulf of Mexico that supplies tons of moisture to our storms and to our systems,
Hmm.
and so that's really probably one of the main reasons we get those more HP supercells, um, but they out in the Midwest, they get the really, really large hail. That's what they get.
Yeah, man. I always worry about hail, man.
Hail's bad, man. Like, I actually heard a story, from a forecaster that works at the Storm Prediction Center. And the very first time he was new, pretty much starting out. The very first time sent out his own forecast, solo forecast by himself, he actually took thunder out of the forecast for this area in Kansas. And what happened was storm supercells developed in Kansas where he had just taken thunder out and started dumping like baseball size hail. And there
Yeesh.
was actually this guy that was in in his mobile home and it destroyed his mobile home. Like it was coming through the roof and everything. He was hiding in his bathroom under, I don't know if he was under a mattress or what, but there was so much hail around him, like in his trailer, that he had to be treated for hypothermia.
Jesus Christ, man. I was only thinking about, oh, it's gonna dent my truck and leave scratches, but meanwhile, this guy's getting hypothermia from hiding in his bathroom, dude.
If the hailstone reaches a certain size, it'll come through your roof.
I don't like thinking
I
about
mean, that
that, man.
happened last year with the Coleman storms, like in Coleman. That remember the Jacksonville tornado?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, they had hail so big in Coleman, it was like I think it was the biggest that was ever recorded in Alabama. It was like over 4 inches or something in diameter or something like that, and it went through people's roofs.
Yeah, Mother Nature doesn't give a damn, dude.
It's insane what can happen.
Mother Nature doesn't care how fucked up you got last Friday. She's
No, no, and yeah, it's insane. That's the reason I got into it because it's just crazy. I just love it so much. It's just fascinating to me.
You know what else is fascinating to me, man? The ocean. How little
Yeah,
we know about our own planet.
yeah, that's scary. The ocean freaks me out.
It does.
It's freaky, man. It's like a different world down there.
Man, I just find it funny. That's how we know more about space than we do our own selves. That
Yeah,
is such an accurate analogy to the human to human nature, in my opinion.
right.
Is we focus so much on looking outwards.
Looking past what's right in front of us.
Not only that, but forgetting to look within.
Yeah.
Look in the mirror. I mean, shit, there might actually be Atlantis in the ocean. We just don't know.
Yeah.
Aliens are probably already here. They probably just living underwater. Have you seen some of those fish that live in high pressure environments?
Yeah,
Oh,
they're crazy.
they look freaky, dude.
Yeah. They're insane. I've actually heard, like, some rumors that people believe Atlantis is actually, like, on Africa. Like,
Ooh.
there's this I can't remember what it's called, some kind of ring. It's in, I don't know if it's in Miramar or one of those countries, northwestern Africa, and it's like this rock formation that you can actually see on Google Earth. But it lines up everything about it lines up perfectly with, like, the old writings from Plato and all those, like, old writers that were describing Atlantis. It, like, actually
Hmm.
matches up perfectly with, what they were describing, and they believe that at one point the water was actually high enough inland that it was, like there were, like, water canals in the city and everything, and, like, as the Earth has shifted over time, like, the water has, like, gone out more towards, where it is now and stuff, and you could see, like, in the mountains that surround this feature that they're talking about, you could see where there used to be rivers that ran through and, like, ran down the mountainside and stuff that are, like, dug out into the earth, and
Hmm.
it's really interesting, like, I actually looked into it, it's pretty cool. There hasn't ever been a major excavation out there because it's in such a desolate area that there's never actually been, like, really detailed excavations to actually see if there's anything out there.
Yeah, man. That's
It's really fascinating. I can't remember what it's called. It's called Ring of something maybe. Yeah. Or the no, 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 it's called the Ricot structure, that's what it's called.
let me look it up. How
The
do you spell
Ricot structure. It's like Richat structure.
Richat? No.
Just type in Ricot structure Atlantis, and I guarantee you'll find all kinds of freaking conspiracy theorists.
Let me see. Maybe I'll see Alex Jones.
Yeah.
He's hilarious, dude. I find him hilarious.
Yeah.
I see one article say no, Atlantis has not been discovered in North Africa, but I do see the structure. That is pretty cool.
Yeah. There's actually a guy that did a YouTube video on it, and he actually, like, went into a lot of detail. It's pretty believable stuff, like, even if you're not into conspiracy things, like, the points he makes are actually fairly believable.
Hmm. It's also called the mystery of the giant blue eye of Africa.
Yeah. It's really cool because it's so, like the way it's shaped and everything, it looks too good to be true, like, it looks like there's no way nature could have just done that, you know? But the people that try to say that it was nature, they try and say, like, magma is pushing up from the earth underneath the crust or
I don't
whatever.
I don't know. There's so little we know.
Exactly.
There's in our lifespans, we will never get to know everything. So
Yeah.
it kind of reminds me of a Jupiter, the red eye.
Mhm.
I still find it insane how Jupiter's just a gas planet.
Yeah, well, they say it has, like, a rocky core, but it's still, like, considered a gas planet.
Hmm.
But I was wondering, could you land on the rocky core?
Yeah, your spacecraft would you'd probably be dead by the time, but there's
Yeah.
only something landed.
Yeah.
God, that's insane to think about. That's also insane to think about that two of our neighbors, neighboring planets, Venus and Mercury, how they're just completely desolate wastelands. It's crazy. It's like, wow. And we're right next to them.
Yeah.
Imagine if we were just a little bit further away from the sun or just a little bit closer. Imagine how different things would be.
It completely changes everything. Like, the average temperature on Earth right now is, like it's around, like, 59 degrees Fahrenheit.
Hmm.
The average temperature during the Ice Age was, like on Earth, was, like, 52. It was somewhere from, like, 52 to 54 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's not that far off, and you see
Yeah.
how different everything
Yeah.
was.
That's what I think about.
Like, a 1 to 3 degrees Celsius change in temperature can completely change the entire, like, way the world is as we know it.
Yeah, I know. It's
That's crazy.
so yeah, there's people should stop bitching about their lives because we're just a click away from
Yeah.
not being here. Speaking of that, I remember you and Tony would always get yo when we would hang out when you two were when you were in college too. You'd always bitch about these college girls who would be loud all the time, like your freshman dorms or whatever.
Yeah.
They were complaining about some really stupid shit. And Tony, he would talk. He would always. Tony was the one who was actually the most angry about it. I remember. He's like,
Yeah.
God, I hate these fucking girls who just complain about their history homework. All they do is suck dick. He was talking to me about that one. It was like, whoa, Tony, whoa, bud.
He would go off on that shit, man, because he would be trying to study and actually focus on, like, really detailed hard shit. And, like, these girls would come in there complaining about, like, English 101 and stuff. And he couldn't stand that.
Dude, I feel like if I lived on a college campus, I'd probably be in jail right now just because I'd make someone cry just from this shit. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, I would go in the library whenever I'd have, like, homework assignments, and we would have, like, huge maps of stuff we were having to, like, analyze stuff on these maps, and people would walk by and look and be like, "Wow, I'm glad I'm not doing that." It's like it's like, "Yeah, but, I mean, if it's what you wanna do, it's not that bad."
Yeah, it's not that bad. People don't understand. I find it weird where when I have to do homework or when I got to work on programming and stuff like that, things not related to music, I have to go to somewhere really loud to work.
Yeah.
I have to go to a bar, and
Yeah.
I find that it's easier for me to do cow homework or figure out a new code
That's interesting.
from there. I just find I don't know.
I need some kind of music at least. I can't just sit in, like, desolate quiet and just where all you could hear is, like, the air conditioning, like, that's
Yeah, that freaks me out a bit,
I
and
have to have some music in the background.
that's why I don't go to libraries to study. It's weird because you're around so many people, but they're all so quiet.
Right, you just hear
And
them, like, coughing and sniffling, and
yeah, it's to me it's a little creepy
it
in
is
a way.
weird.
It's super creepy. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think Tony will end up with someone Japanese. I know that came out of nowhere, but I just that's just the way he is. He's just super focused.
He's
He,
focused, but I think eventually he's gonna get where he wants to be, and then he'll be able to, like, broaden his horizons a little bit.
I don't know about that, man. I see Tony as a guy who's just whenever he's focused on something, he's focused on that one singular thing, and he'll go to the ends of the earth with it. And then once he's done with that, he'll go find something else. He'll go to the ends of the earth with.
Maybe so, but I mean, at some point you reach your limit at some point.
I mean, some people do.
Yeah, I think Tony will reach his limit at some point.
Yeah, maybe when he's like 74.
I don't know. Just knowing his personality, he's so focused right now because he's trying to get through school.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think that'll be his only source of like focus for the rest of his life. It's just like one thing after another.
Oh yeah, people do change,
Because
but
he did have hobbies. I mean, he has hobbies and things he enjoys. So
it might have had to do with that incident he had to deal with. Because that's when I noticed the most change from him.
yeah,
You know what I'm talking about.
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. They had to deal with that. And that's what I noticed the most change. In a way. It was kind of almost vindictive in a way. A little bit angry. But I understand him.
Yeah.
I'd be mad too.
Well, maybe it's also he doesn't have to worry about any of that anymore. He can just focus now solely on what he wants to get done. So I mean, maybe it was a good thing for him. I mean, he might actually. I mean, he's building that app and everything. I'm not gonna steal his thunder because maybe one day he'll come talk about it. But like
Yeah,
he's doing all that by himself. So
he's already done with the app. I thought he released it.
yeah, he's released it, but he's constantly trying to make updates and everything.
Yeah, because he was telling me, when he was talking to me and TJ a lot about it in Austin, he said he would tell me about the amount of time he would spend on just parsing one line
Yeah,
because some glitch would happen.
I could I don't know how he does it. I really don't because I could never focus for that long on one thing.
I think he told me one time, he's like, the only thing I was missing was a parentheses. And it said, you were working on this one line for a whole 2 fucking weeks, and it was only a parentheses in the wrong spot.
That's the thing
It's like,
about
yep.
coding and programming that'll piss you off is that one little thing can screw the rest of everything up. I mean, it's
God, I wonder the next criminal, the next biggest criminal is it's gonna be a cyber. It's gonna be cyber crime. I know that. These people are smart, man.
it may be Tony if he stays in his dungeon long enough. There's no telling what he's cooking up in
You never
there.
know, man. I mean, he always jokes about things in the group chat, but
Yeah.
he might actually be doing it. I don't know. There's a lot of things that everyone in our friend group's doing that no one really knows about.
Yeah.
I mean, TJ's got like 20 side hustles in a gambling vice. Austin always had a gambling vice. I don't know what else he's doing. Jeez.
God, I need to get a side hustle like that.
I think that's the new American standard, dude.
I know.
Everyone's got a side hustle. I mean, everyone, all my friends who are still in college, they go to school full time and they have a full time or a 35-hour a week job too. So that's
Yeah.
just the new American standard, unless you got everything paid for.
I mean, no, I got,
No, I'm not saying.
insane student loans and everything, but like I'm just happy with the career I'm at now. Like I don't know if I need a side hustle. I can just focus on my career. Since there's so much like ability for me to go up in the career,
Mhm.
I don't know if I can just focus on getting the best at what I'm doing now and see where it takes me.
Well, I think that's good because you're at a point where your passion is also lined up with your career.
Yeah.
But for most of us, our passions, one, are not financially that secure or stable. So we end up having to pick up these 5 different side hustles and a job we don't really like, but
Right.
we're working towards something else different. Um, like I'll stick my nose to the ground until I'm 35 to really start pursuing what I want to do. Because my philosophy then is I'll have enough money saved up to where I could just fuck off and not work for like at least 3, 4 years and do what I want.
Yeah.
That's my American dream. I don't know how realistic that is, but
I
I'd
mean,
like
I
to get
could
to that
use the
point.
money right now. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd be happy with making tons of money right now, but I gotta stay patient and just know that it'll come later.
Mm,
'Cause, like, everybody thinks since I'm, like, a federal employee that I'm just making a ton of money.
no,
And I'm really not. Like I said, that information's public, everybody can go see. GS5 is not that great, but you gotta start somewhere in this field. And
exactly.
really, the biggest, like, most competitive thing about this field is just, like, getting your foot in the door. Everybody says that, but meteorology is really competitive.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about how many people actually go to school for this, and what's the job placement like?
More and more people are actually going to school for it, I feel like.
Really?
Yeah, I think more people are starting to realize what opportunities are there. And so more people are going. There's a lot of people that are actually interested in weather, but they don't know how to make it a career. They just keep it as like a hobby.
Mm,
But I think a lot of people are actually trying to make it more of like a career now. But the problem is that there's not enough jobs to sustain the amount of people coming out of college with a meteorology degree. Like the position that I applied for at the office in Birmingham, there was something like 160 applications at some point. That's probably a little high. It was in the 120 to 160 application range for one position. And so they have to go and narrow it down to one person. I mean, that's pretty, like, you can't tell me that's not competitive. That's insane.
that's insane. I mean, I know engineering is actually, well, as far as I heard, as far as civil engineering goes, that's also starting to hit a saturation problem.
Yeah. Civil engineering has always been perceived as the easiest, I guess, as in engineering because there's certain, like, I remember they didn't have to take physics 2 and all that stuff. And I'm a meteorologist. I'm having to take physics 2, and a
Yep.
freaking engineer doesn't. Like, and so I think in the engineering world, that's probably perceived as the easiest, but it's still hard. I mean, it's still engineering.
I mean,
So,
yeah, this still is. I got a friend in New Jersey who's actually head of a head something of an engineering firm, and he's civil, but it's
mhm.
fucking hard work. He talks to me a little bit about what he does, and I have no idea what's going on
Yeah,
either. Mm,
it's really crazy.
man, let's talk about global warming. Why not,
Oh
dude? Let's talk about let's
god.
talk about global warming.
No. All right.
You didn't want to go there?
We can go there. I'll start off by saying I'm not a climatologist.
Okay.
So, I'm a meteorologist, but so we don't necessarily look at, like, the climatology of how things are trending. I mean, I can if I want to because we have the Climate Prediction Center, which is a branch under NOAA and under the National Weather Service, but yeah, I think climate change, I don't necessarily wanna call it global warming, but I think climate change, like, as a whole, the really the skepticism behind it all, I think most scientists agree that climate change is probably happening because it has always happened, but I think the real skepticism comes from how much effect is man really having on it?
Right.
So I think that's where the main question comes from is, like, the part that humans are playing in that process.
I think people should pay attention to the time span because the climate
Yeah,
isn't going to change. Yeah, it's the earth, it's nature, it's something out of our control. We have
yeah.
no way of. I don't think we have a way of really knowing if we're involved, but I think people or scientists should pay attention to the, which I'm pretty sure they already are. I'm just saying it
Mhm.
just to say it, but I think they're worried about the time span that this climate change is happening.
Right.
Makes sense. So instead of, here's a bad example. Instead of saying there's like a 3-degree change in the climate over a span of 2 million years, well, now we have a 4-degree climate change over the span of 10,000 years. So that's
Yeah.
a big different time span, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, there's been periods, like, way back in history where we've warmed up like this. So it's happened before, but it is the rate, like you said, that it's happening. Is I don't know if it's ever happened this quickly before. I mean, we can measure, like, greenhouse gases in the atmosphere and try and measure, like, how much insulation how much heat is really leaving the atmosphere and how much is being trapped in our atmosphere. How's it really, like, changing over time? But, man, I don't even know if we could really do anything as humans to reverse that.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I take pride in saying this. That's a problem for my great great grandchildren to deal with.
I mean, think about it, like, so many things are probably out of our control. Like, if the sun changes its output even a little bit,
Oh, yeah, we're
we can't
toast.
control that.
We're toast. We barbecue at that point.
Yeah, I mean, and who knows? I'm sure there's somebody that knows if that's happening or not. I don't. That's above my that's I don't do that stuff, but yeah, I mean, there's so many things that we can't control. And like renewable energy or like whatever, clean energy and stuff, like it sounds great on paper, but it's so expensive. And like what you get back out of it is not what you're worth what you're putting in.
Right.
So I don't think you can completely take out like, coal and all these other types of dirty energy that we use now. You can't completely erase it. Nuclear energy, I don't see how you completely just take that away overnight. It would have to be a long process.
It will have to because we have so many people on this planet. It's a population issue, in my
Yeah.
opinion. We have so many, which is why. All right, I'm going on a weird train of thought, so please bear with me.
All right.
So that's also why, I mean, if you know the production of beef and chicken, it's sped up tremendously. I mean, you look at a chicken. I had a friend, his name's Dante. He worked at how do you say, I'm just called chicken processing plant. And he says, I shit you not, these little chicks over the span of 4 days turned into full grown chicken. And he said, that's when I stopped working there.
4 days?
In the span of 4 days, he says, I shit you not. And that's when he stopped working there. Because I mean,
And then we're eating that. That's scary.
it's delicious, dude.
Yeah.
It's delicious. I don't care, but
Uh,
that's insane.
I mean, our life expectancy is still longer than it's ever been, so
Yeah, man. Just might as well keep eating these chicken wings, dude. I don't know if I want to live that long, though. That's another
Yeah.
existential question that I threw out.
Yeah.
What was I talking about, though? I was talking about population issue. Then I went about talking about chicken, but then,
Yeah, like wind turbines and all that crap.
yeah, the energy.
Yeah.
Here's my crazy statement that'll get me in trouble. I feel like the only way, if we want to move towards more clean, renewable energy, we're gonna have to find a way to get. We have to find a way to, I don't know, cut the population down. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. I mean, how are you gonna completely change like, all everybody has cars and everything, you couldn't completely just change that overnight to where people are driving electric vehicles, to where everybody has solar panels, you know? I
Yeah.
like, so even if we started trying to make that transition now, would it really stop the way the climate's trending? I don't think it would.
Yeah. I don't
It wouldn't happen in a time span where it needs to be.
think it just people are impatient. It has to do with impatience.
It seems like
People,
such a monumental task.
it'll take time. I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's gonna start moving that direction
Yeah, and I mean,
more.
there's nothing wrong with clean energy at all. Like, there's
No,
nothing
of
wrong
course
with
not.
protecting the environment and clean air and everything. But it's just like the time frame that they want to do it in is unrealistic.
Oh
Like
man.
even by like 2030 or 2035, where they want to go all to renewable energy, that's impossible. There's no way that's gonna happen.
Yeah, unless you get a bunch of freakishly smart people working on it.
Like but the cost, we couldn't pay. There's no way we would be able to pay for that.
Yo, this is America. Just borrow money. We do it all the time. Just
I
borrow
mean,
money, right?
yeah, yeah, I guess so. That's our motto: borrow
Oh,
money and then pass it out when we don't have it.
oh man. I don't want to get too political, but I saw the Green New Deal. And I was like, holy shit. This is rarely talking about environmental at all, dude. Let me look it up.
I'll be honest, I did not even look into any of that.
I just
When all the Democrats voted no for it, I was like, okay,
Yeah, something's wrong here.
yeah. Even the guy that helped co-author it didn't vote in favor of it. That's weird.
I don't know. Politics is dirty, man. I
Yeah.
couldn't do that.
Unless there's something underlying going on where I don't know. Yeah.
There probably is. I mean, look,
Why would they all vote no for it?
there was a crook who ran for president last election.
Yeah.
There's tons of them everywhere.
There are a lot of people like running for president this go around.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of and the sad part is the people who are running, they're using clickbait tactics. It's just turned into a very emotional battle for no reason when emotions is not going to solve the problem. You
Yeah.
kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's talking about human nature. It's always this bullshit of us versus them. I don't know why
We
people
need
think
people
that
who
way.
talk about what they're going to do to actually make a difference, not just, oh, this person's doing this and this and this. Shame on them. I'm better than them. Like, what are you actually gonna do?
Well, people
Give us a plan here.
right, people buy into that shit though because
Yeah,
we're tribal. We're very
yeah,
tribalistic at the end of the day. We've always found comfort in there only being two sides.
yeah,
That's human nature. It's always like, oh, conservatives are bad, liberals are stupid. And it was like, no, it's not that. It's
yeah.
tons of shades of gray that you are very uncomfortable with that have so many nuanced situations that you will never be able to understand if it's a right decision or a wrong decision. Because I mean, this whole universe is not as simple as this and that. It's no, it's not. There's so many different things that go into it.
Mhm.
I don't know. That was a bit of a tangent I went on.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
What would solve politics, I wonder? I think people should just beat the shit out of each other, like in a boxing match or UFC.
Oh, man. Yeah, that'd be great. That would sure fix everything on
But that'd be scary because Putin was like former KGB agent, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So he would just straight up kill everyone, dude. Well, I guess
Well,
I'm talking about US stuff.
hey, South Korea's president, he was, like, special forces, so
Really?
yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that because everyone's so focused on North Korea all the time.
Yeah, he'd be the first to go.
Probably. Korean president. Oops. South Korean pre. The fuck is my computer doing? Sorry. Yeah, my dog's going insane outside. Let's see. Let me click on his Wikipedia because that's always accurate. Wikipedia is actually pretty accurate. I remember they would say, "Don't get your facts off Wikipedia."
I
It's
know,
like
right? It's not that bad. Come
not that
on.
bad anymore. Let me see.
Like,
Oh,
there's pictures of him from the past, and he's, like, ripped. You could tell he's buff.
I feel like that's a good leader though. Someone who has military experience
Yeah.
or experience in the private sector of work.
Doesn't it say he was in special forces?
Yes, he was. Let me see. Military service. Trying to look at what he did. hmm To the South Korean Special Forces, also known as Black Berets, ROKs.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, dude.
He might stand a chance in a fight ring.
He probably does, dude. He probably like do some ninjutsu shit, poke you 2 points, and all of a sudden, oh, your heart doesn't work anymore. Yeah, I just feel like a lot of people in the office or just in the realm of politics, they're a bit disconnected with the real world
Yeah.
because they live in this bubble. Not talking shit about government employees or people who just make a living off the government because you're different. Your field is different because yours is more of an analytical public servant.
Yeah.
I wouldn't exactly call politicians public servants. I call them like public clowns because they don't really provide anything. I mean, if all the politicians just fucking died, I mean, would anything change?
I don't know.
I
They
don't know.
fill their pockets, man. They literally just spend time filling their pockets.
I don't know.
But there are a lot of, like, people in like, federal employees like, there's a lot going on outside of, like, the geriatrics that's going on in DC.
There is. I mean, that's
There's
the
a
crazy
lot of
part.
other normal people, normal families that are federal employees, like, the weather service, you know, there's, like, people that are just janitors and, like, national museums, they're
Yeah.
federal employees. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not talking about those guys. I'm talking about these fucking clowns
yeah,
in DC, like doing what? They might as well be just renamed WWE because that's all it is.
yeah,
It's theatrics to me.
yeah, I agree.
I should move up to the mountains and just isolate myself from the world. God, I really wonder what that life is like, just isolated away from the rest of the world.
It's probably a tough life, not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah, you gotta provide everything on your own.
But isn't there a certain peace to it?
Could be. I mean, you'd always be busy,
Mm,
probably.
Maybe it's a bit harder for us to understand because I think that's most of the people who do partake in that lifestyle, that's all they ever known.
Like, we're really heading towards, like, Wally. Like, you remember Wally?
Oh yeah, I
Like, we're
remember.
really headed towards that.
Oh yeah, that's so funny, dude.
Because think about the past. They had to work for everything they get, every, like, piece of food they had, their shelter. They had to work nonstop for survival. Now, we could just order food, have it delivered. We could just sit in our homes and, like, work 8 hours a day, come home and get paid. And it's like we're progressing towards this, like, lifestyle where everything's done for us.
I think it's a cycle. I think there's gonna be some great conflict or danger that's gonna revert it back around.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just the cycle, in my opinion. Is strong men create good times create weak men create bad times, and then bad times create strong people.
yeah.
That's it. This is the cycle.
There's still a lot of people that are working their ass off
Of course,
constantly,
of
so,
course,
yeah.
of course, man. What else? What else I got on this list? We talked about a ton of things that weren't even involved with this.
That's alright.
Yeah, man, it was a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Let's see
What else you got? Throw it at me.
what else I got. I'm trying to let me pull from TJ's list.
Oh
He's
god.
coming in tomorrow. I'm gonna pull from his list really
Uh-oh.
quick.
Okay.
God, it's funny because the first question I asked, I was first question I'm gonna ask him is post nut syndrome. He's gonna, I'm pretty
What
sure he
the
can't.
heck?
Pretty sure he can't even discuss half of these questions. This is so funny. Hmm. Dang man, all these questions are too centered towards him. I gotta look for something else.
Anything, like, weather related you wanna know about?
Oh man, I didn't even think about it. What are things I'm interested in? Huh. I don't really think about it that much. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Weather things.
Some people are crazy into it, some people just not as much. But
I
you
don't
gotta
know.
think, I mean, it affects everybody. Everybody gets rained on, everybody gets thunderstorms at some point, everybody goes through heat, through the cold. It's, like, way more involved than people realize, I think, in their lives.
Well, because it's just such a. It's one of those things I like to compare it to. Nobody knows who's an engineer, who the engineer is until something's wrong.
Yeah,
It's just something that's there. You don't really think about it because it's always there. You don't really know unless something bad happens or gets taken away.
right.
I'm trying to think. Hmm. Is
Yeah.
there any opportunity for you to do weather service in this career in different countries? I know that was worded fucking terribly, but I hope you got the gist of what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Is there any possibility of you how would you go about if you wanted to have this career in a different country?
Man, every country pretty much has their, like, own meteorological service type deal. It would just be really we have really good, like, coverage here, like radar coverage in the US. Models, like, the weather models are very good here because we have so many, like, observation points in the US that go into those weather models, whereas other countries might not have those resources to where they can do, like, balloon launches and stuff like that, things that actually get inputted into the models. So, it would be a whole new set of challenges. Each part of the world has their own challenge, and, like, if I really wanted to challenge myself, that would be interesting to do, but I'm very content with just staying here.
What do you think would be a challenging region in the world?
God, Africa would be horrendous
What
because
what would make it so horrendous?
they're limited resources in Africa. I mean, we just got to the point now to where satellites are so good that they can actually scan, like, Africa as they're flying over or whatever, and take readings that are good enough to be inputted into our weather models. So now, like, they can actually, their weather models might actually be reliable for Africa, whereas before, like, it was so unreliable because you have to take observations, and you have to take quality observations to be able to put into the weather models so that you get a quality prediction, and, you get a quality product back out. And so Africa was that would be a really tough place to try and forecast for.
Hmm. Vietnam would be easy because half the year it's just fucking monsoons. Guess
Yeah.
guess what? It's raining today. It's raining for the next 3 months.
Yeah, you
There we
could
go.
definitely look at climate trends. That would definitely help a lot. Yeah, we are actually in, like, a weak El Nino right now.
Really?
Yeah, which that's like a global type effect, like a global weather pattern is El Nino.
It's funny. I haven't even heard that term since like the third grade. El Nido.
Really?
I know it's funny. I
Yeah.
haven't heard that term used. It's the third grade.
Yeah. So, I mean, the whole point of El Nino, like, in the Southeast is supposed to give us, like, more rain. California's been getting dumped on, like, I'm pretty sure they're out of their drought now, and that's pretty much probably because of El Nino.
Mm.
They've been getting tons of rain. So El Nino just affects where the jet streams are. The jet streams are, like, basically what drives the weather.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Let me check out the weather forecast. Yeah, just the no, I'm looking at Los Angeles for some reason. Let me look at. It's supposed to rain apparently. Let me ask you a question. How accurate is this shit on the phone?
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. Your phone apps are horrible, I'll be honest. It's completely automated, there's no human input.
Really? I didn't know that.
It's completely automated. So, like, whereas our forecasts, we add the human knowledge to it. So we add, like, intuition and what we've seen, pattern recognition, things that, terrain-based differences, like, that the models might not pick up, like valley temperatures in a valley may be cooler, and the model might not have good enough resolution to pick that up.
Hmm.
So we're always adding human input into our forecasts, into our final product, whereas those phone apps are trash. Like, there's been times where they'll show rain and it's, like, cloudy and sunny and not raining at all, and it's just, like, automated, computerized.
I just wonder what algorithm they're pulling from, what source they're pulling from.
It could just be pulling from some kind of, numerical output, model output.
Let me look this up. Where do weather apps, not weather.
Yeah, it's probably just some numerical output, but there's no human correction to any of that, and so that's why it's so bad.
Well, because it's such a nuanced subject, and I guess weather apps haven't gotten to that point where it's gotten it down to a binary just yet.
Yeah.
Let me see.
I mean, I'm not trying to, like, advertise for my own thing or anything, but, like,
Yeah, go ahead, man.
really the best thing you could do if you're trying to find weather information is just to look at your local National Weather Service office and look at the forecast that they put out, and it's like online, every office has their own site and everything, their own page.
Oh,
That'll get you the most accurate information. Just follow them on social media. Like, you can follow, our office on social media, Facebook, Twitter. I make a lot of social media posts
hmm.
in the morning.
I think that's good that more weather services are moving towards you know media
Yeah.
because that's just where the trends are going. So check this out. The iOS weather app used to be powered by Yahoo Weather, but changed to the Weather Channel with iOS 8. The Weather Channel bases its forecast on its own meteorologist interpretations of data
Yeah.
from a variety of sources, including the National Weather Service, NASA, satellites, and weather balloons. Like that's fucking bullshit.
No, that's complete BS.
Let me see. What's a better one? Let's see. Here's why different weather apps give you different forecasts. Let me look at this up. Let me see how this journalist explains this. Let's see. Trying to read through all the bullshit right now. These measurements are fed into supercomputers run by the government. Okay.
God.
Okay, that explains a lot. Hmm. Yeah, it's just a computer.
Yeah, that's all it is. It probably does pull from some kind of weather model source, like some kind of numerical output. When I say weather model, like, it's probably going over your head.
Yeah, it
But, like,
is.
yeah, there's several models that we run that are numerical based, so it's like it just uses numbers basically. And so these models have, like, they code them to where it takes into account the physics of the atmosphere, the dynamics of the atmosphere, and it tries to create, based on when we do these observations, these real-time observations that get inputted into the model, it does its best to use these numbers and algorithms to, um, basically predict the weather far out in advance. And so we can look at these models and they're better than they've ever been ever in history. Like, they're getting really good. And so we have global models. The GFS is like our main American model. What is it? The global forecast model or something like that. Um,
Beats me, dude.
yeah, global forecast system, something or another. But that's the main one that we use. Like, but we also use all kinds of other ones. We use the European model, the ECMWF. And so they all have their own, like, resolutions, basically. So if you can imagine, like, the resolution on a camera, like, really good resolution, you're able to see detail really good. You're able to see, like, small little, specks of dirt or something on the wall, right?
Hmm.
Well, a high resolution model is able to see, like, smaller scale weather features really well. So things like, sea breezes, which are basically like, man, I'm getting into it really deep now. I don't wanna confuse you, but
No, go ahead. Go ahead, dude.
So things like sea breezes, things like squall line evolution, tries to pick up on supercells. So those are the high resolution models, whereas the and that's what we call mesoscale. All right, so that's like smaller scale stuff, mesoscale.
Oh,
Whereas these global models, these bigger picture models pick up on what we call synoptic scale. So that picks up on more of like the global motions of the atmosphere, the jet streams, it picks up on those really well. It picks up on like low pressure systems, high pressure systems really well, these big, large scale things. And those can be run out really far. Whereas the high resolution models, they can only be run out to like, 36 hours at certain runs.
what's a run?
Yeah, so the run is like it's basically the time of the day where they put this information into the supercomputers and they run the model through the supercomputers and it outputs basically its prediction or whatever.
Okay.
And so um we run off in meteorology we run off of Zulu time. I don't know if you've heard of Zulu time.
What's Zulu time?
It's like yeah, it sounds ridiculous. It's like the same as UTC time, like universal coordinated whatever. But basically, so 12Z, what we call 12Z, that's in the morning here at our central time zone. And so 12Z, we do weather balloon launches at 12Z and 0Z every single day. So 12Z here in Alabama is the same time as the other side of the planet, if that makes sense. So if it's
Okay.
12Z here, then it's 12Z on the other side of the world. And so everybody around the world can launch weather balloons, do whatever they need to do at 12Z so that you're taking a measurement around the entire world at the same exact time so that it goes into the weather models and it's consistent, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does a little
Yeah,
bit.
so, like, whereas if it's 6 AM here, Central Daylight Time, who knows what the heck time it is on the other side of the world, but in Zulu time, it's the same time all over the world.
So it's a way. It's basically a way to standardize, to make it more organized. If that
Yeah,
makes
it
sense.
organizes everything.
Okay.
If it's 12Z here, it's 12Z in Australia or
Hmm.
whatever, or China, or who knows.
Never knew that.
And so we do the 2 balloon launches a day at 12Z in the morning, which is right now it's 7 AM in the morning, and then 0Z at the evening, which is 7 PM. And that data goes into the weather models, which are run at 12Z. Um, they run at 12Z, 18Z. These are the global models: 12Z, 18Z, 0Z, and 6Z. The GFS is run 4 times a day.
Okay.
The high resolution models are run like the HER, for example. It's the high resolution rapid refresh. That's run hourly. So that's run every single hour of the day. A new they run it through the supercomputers. But it only goes out to like 18 hours, I think, or something like that. And then on the 12Z, 0Z, 18Z, and 6Z runs, it goes out to like 36 hours
Wow.
because it's able to use the observations that we take at that time of the day. It's able to use those observations. So they're able to run the model out further, if that makes sense.
Huh.
Whereas whenever it's running during the day when we're not taking observations, it has to interpolate what the weather is doing based on like previous observations or based on what's going on in real time and stuff like that. So it has to interpolate. So it may not be as accurate, but it is still, I mean, it's still accurate.
Huh.
So I'm sorry if that was confusing. It's
No,
that's
that's
a
fine.
lot to try to explain at once.
No, that's fine, dude. Like
Yeah.
most of these podcasts, I bring in people who do work in the field. I mean, yeah, it's supposed to go over someone's head. I mean, I've had med school students, I've had like Bitcoin miners, former drug dealers, like all kinds of characters. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine, man. Fine to go over my head. I'm just a host. I'm just trying to explore a little bit in things that I was previously ignorant about, and
Yeah.
probably still stay ignorant about this field for a while. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, weather models, those are it's free to public use as well. There's websites that have the weather models on them that anybody can look at.
really,
Yeah, Pivotal Weather is one of them that a
huh,
lot of people use.
wow,
Yeah. So, I mean, it's free to public use, but our system in the weather service is more in depth. We have more access to more data. We use this interface called AWIPS. It's like the Advanced Weather Interface Processing System, I believe is what that stands for. And you can pull in data from all kinds of sources. You can like overlay the data on top of each other. You can have 4 panels. I mean, just the interpolation that you can do through that system is really detailed. It's really nice.
Hmm.
So it's a lot more advanced than what the public has access to, if that makes sense.
Hmm. What do you think is the next big step in technological development? I know we discussed this a little bit
Yeah, other than
earlier,
like quantum computing
other
and
than
stuff.
quantum computing.
Um, hmm. Hopefully they continue to improve the models and just make the resolution better. Which, like I said, quantum computing will play a big part in that. But until we get to that point, I think there's still work to be done. So if they can continue to make the models, like the resolution better, and have them be able to run out longer into the future and still be accurate, that'll be a game changer.
Hmm.
Because right now we can use the high resolution models, like once we get into range of the models. So like for instance, if we have an event that we expect to like see what's today? Today's like Wednesday. Okay, so if we have an event that we're expecting this weekend on like Saturday, then the high resolution models, they don't run out far enough to Saturday. So we can't see out that far with our models. But the global models, they do run out that far, but the resolution's not as good. So we can see the bigger picture of what we're expecting is going to happen, but we don't know the specifics exactly. So as we get closer to Saturday, like say we get to Thursday and then we get to Friday, we get into range of these high resolution models, and they're able to pick up smaller scale features better. They're able to pick up on the evolution of how the system's going to evolve. And so we get a better idea of the specifics, not the exact specifics because they're not that good yet. Like we can't tell, oh, this storm right here is going to have a tornado in it. It's not that good yet. I don't know if it may be at some point, maybe. But yeah, if we can get that high resolution model to where it can run out longer in the future and be accurate, that'll be a big game changer. And they're constantly doing updates to it, constantly improving the physics and the dynamics of these models, trying to make them run longer. If theoretically, if we could get to the point where we do like balloon launches 4 times a day instead of 2, that would help make the models more accurate. The problem is that costs a shitload of money. That costs a ton of
Yeah.
money. So that's why we're only and NOAA, the actual like NOAA itself is like one of the least funded government organizations.
Yeah, how what percentage gets funded to it? Because I heard NASA gets 0.25% up. It's 0.25% of the government budget per year.
NOAA is probably that low, if not lower. I
Hmm.
mean, we don't the US is really bad at putting money towards science.
Yeah.
We would rather spend all our money on militarization and things like that.
Hmm.
But if we had more money, there's no telling what we could do.
Dude, just print it. Duh. just,
Yeah, print
just
out more.
borrow it. Just borrow it from China.
And the problem is they wanna actually cut. They wanna keep cutting our budget, and we already don't get a lot.
Yeah.
We just launched our next generation of satellites, though. You know, the GOES are satellites, GOES 16 and GOES 17. Extremely high resolution. It's really amazing what you could see with those things. Like we can get back we can request what's called a meso. And so basically, if we have like a severe event ongoing or we expect it during that day, they can sectorize um, the satellite to focus in on one region of the country. And so we can get updates from the satellite every minute.
So it's constant basically.
Yeah,
Once you focus that satellite in.
we get 1 frame per minute updates. That's a lot that's moving a lot of data at once. These are large files, like satellite, like imagery is large files. That's moving a lot of data at once. So we can literally see the evolution of these storms. We could see the tops, the anvils growing in
Uh
real time. We could see how, it's evolving over time, like every by the minute, and it's amazing.
so just for people to have an idea of compare one frame a minute to to other systems that aren't the Go 16 or Go 17 satellites.
Yeah, before I think it was like updates it may have been every 5 minutes, or it may be less than that, 10 or 15 minutes in the previous satellites we used. So if you can imagine like an 1 frame update every like 10 or 15 minutes, I mean, you're missing a lot in between. Like you
Right.
can miss a lot in between. And so now with that 1 minute frame update, I mean, you could see like And we also have, like, lightning mappers, that'll actually show lightning. It'll detect lightning in the storms, so we can see when the lightning intensity is increasing. If you see more lightning in a storm, then you know that that storm is intensifying.
Hmm.
So, now we can see things like that to where, okay, this storm's getting more lightning in it. That means it has to be intensifying. We've gotta keep an eye on this one, whatever. Stuff like that that you may not have been able to see before. And not only that, but the resolution's better. Like I said, like the picture is clearer itself. It's not so grainy and pixelated. Like the picture itself is actually clearer. And it's amazing where we're going. I'm
Yeah,
excited that I'm just starting out in my career at like the most technological advanced part of it because it's really fun.
yeah. It just feels like, especially with the rate that just technology is developing in general,
Yeah.
seems like a really interesting field to be in because you're constantly getting improvements. I mean, think about it. Just 30 years ago, you know what an 8 megabyte hard drive looked like? It looked like this case right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my mentors showed me what a 8 megabyte hard drive used to look like, and it was he literally lugged in a 30-pound box,
It's crazy.
and that ain't shit anymore. It's like,
No, you can get like 1 terabyte of memory for your phone now.
yeah, you like,
It's like a little bitty card.
yeah, man. There's even things smaller than this that hold more than like 4 terabytes that are smaller than this. I don't
Yeah.
think I'm holding in my hand. That's insane.
That is insane.
Well, I guess we should probably wrap it up.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anything else you want to talk about?
I
Any
don't think
any
so.
closing statements?
No, I mean, I can go on all day about weather stuff as long as I'm like got something to talk about. But yeah, thanks for having me on. That was awesome.
Dude, thanks. The fact you were able to articulate what you do for about 2 hours, because I barely put any input during this episode. So this is great. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah,
Dude,
that was awesome. Thanks for having me on. Thank you.
dude, no problem, man. And I will let you know about when we're doing the group podcast. That'll be a disaster. This will probably
That's
be at
gonna be wonderful.
yes, yes, this will be at Austin's place. It's not happening here.
Okay, that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
there's no
You
way.
even have enough mics for that? I mean,
Yeah, I
that's
do. I got plenty.
good.
I hope. Because I think we got 7 people on right now. It's you, me, TJ, Austin, Sean, Tony, and someone else is probably going to be there. Maybe BJ or something, or Cameron. I don't know. Hopefully, it's only 6 of us.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right, Daniel, I'm hungry. I got to get the fuck out of here. Thank you.
same here, man.
Thanks for coming by.
All right, no problem. Thank you.